is up, guys? Dad Dash here, coming to you today with a special video here that I'm recording here for you because I want to talk to you about something that I think is very important, especially as we head into the next month. And also, we finished with the month of August. So, there's nothing more important right now than what we're going to talk about here. So, I want to kind of talk to you. And the topic of the video here is understanding what you're really making money in the gig economy. It's going to be a series we're going to do. I'm going to also do a series of lives. But I'm going to talk to you today about some important information. And I don't care whether you're a 4 hour a month worker or you're a 40 hour a week worker, whatever you're doing, you need to know this information and you need to be considering this information. And you need to be approaching things this way. So let's get into it. And we're going to break this down and I'm going to talk to you about it. I'm going to give you some information. And also, I'm going to attach within this video, I'm going to attach access to some of my sheets. And these sheets are referenced in this presentation. And they will help you very easily uh, keep track of the things I'm going to talk about today in this video. So let's get started, guys. Let's move in. So this is, I've taken this as a screen grab from my profit summary, which I use a daily work log every single day. It's very simple. And I track a few pieces of information off of every single order, and it gives me a lot of information and a lot of metrics that I can react to and work with as I'm working. But the most important ones it's telling me, and the most important thing it's telling me is it's allowing me to understand what is my net. And that's what we should be working towards. Not your gross, not what the app is paying you, but what are you bringing home after expenses? And you're going to see several important pieces of information on this screen. And we're going to talk about all of these areas. You're going to see gross revenue, taxes, car expense fund, actual gas cost, what I call your cash flow or your profit loss. What do you have after all of your expenses? And then, most importantly, your expense ratio, which essentially the expense ratio is your what are you taking home after? What's your profits after all of your expenses? And you can use that number to understand what your goal needs to be. So if you're looking to make $100 in a day, this ratio is going to give you the ability to figure out what you need to earn each and every day while you're out, or what you need to earn that day when you're out. And the best part about it is if you're using my daily work log, it will automatically track your net take home. So if you're looking to make $60 net, you're put that in the goal and it will track it for you, and it will be actively tracking it for you as you go, simplifying the entire experience and making it as easy as possible to get that done. Now, because these sheets have been developed while on the road and they were developed with the driver in mind, and these are all 100% free. I only ask that you subscribe to the channel and share your journey with these sheets with me, and maybe participate in some of the lives I'll be doing where we can all come together and talk numbers. And if you don't want to do any of that, you don't even have to. I just want to be able to provide a free way for drivers to be able to get themselves informed and make better informed decisions. And when you're doing that, you will make more money. I promise you. Anyways, so this is it right here. When you're looking at this, that's why I did it. And you're going to see real screen grabs of real shifts of how I'm using these things and how we're tracking these things. So let's go on and talk about the next slide. So the next slide here I have is the 3 key expenses for gig business operators. And I'm going to go ahead and take myself out of let's see here. There we go. So there it is. Taxes, car maintenance, and actual gas cost. And we're going to talk about how to track all 3 of these in my sheets. We'll do that for you. And there's a little bit of extra you got to do in some of these categories. But if you're doing this and you're keeping track of this, this is going to be extremely helpful for you to keep track of these items. And it's not going to take much time or really require much out of you beyond what you're already doing. So anyways, let's jump into the next slide here. All right. So the first thing you need to understand, and this goes out to new drivers, and if you're a current driver, if you're a senior level driver, if you've been driving for a while and you're not already doing this, then I recommend you start doing it. And that is this: these expenses, the taxes, the car, the gas money fund, and your car expense maintenance fund should all be paid first before you ever touch your money that you've made for the day. And you should be allocating these things, and they should be paid into a separate account. And I have a spreadsheet you can use that if you do that to simplify things and not have to have 75 different bank accounts, as long as you're putting that money into a separate account from the money that you're sending to yourself to pay your bills and spend on whatever it is you're going to be spending it on, then you can allocate the funds. You can create sub accounts by using a spreadsheet, and essentially it creates a bank register type situation where you can have sub accounts that you can keep track of for the money you have in that account and then what you have it allocated for. And I have a sheet, of course. Now, what you're seeing here is a screen grab of the business account summary, and it will show you your tax account, your tax account balance, your gas money account balance, your car maintenance fund, and it gives you a total. And then each tab has its own transaction register that you can use to keep track of what you're doing. So if you pay your taxes, you can put it in there. If you have to withdraw money for a car expense, it will come out. If you have to withdraw money for gas, it can come out. And of course, as you're putting money in, you'll be able to log that in as well. And then you'll be able to compare the balance that you see on this front screen with the balance of your bank account and making sure those are all always in line with each other and keeping yourself out of trouble. But this is very important because if you don't get into the habit of paying yourself first and you put the money all in one commingled account, you're going to have a greater possibility that you're going to spend money, that you're going to be spending money that you shouldn't be spending. And that creates a problem because then when one of these things come up, and every one of these things are relevant to keeping you in business, because the reality is, if you follow this channel, if you look at the TOS, we are all considered to be businesses in the eyes of the apps, and really by therefore enforcing the very TOSs that we work for, also in eyes of everyone else. That's how we should be viewed. So if we are businesses, we have to look at the variables that would take us out of business. No gas, we're not working. No car, we're not working. Don't pay your taxes. You might still be able to work, but you're going to be working to pay your taxes, and that's not going to be a good thing. And that could very well take you out of business because, well, if you're working, you just pay a tax debt, you're not able to support yourself. So, all three of these things are very, very important for you to stay on top of. I also want to remind everyone I'm not giving financial advice here. I am simply talking to you and sharing with you my experience. Everything here should be taken as suggestions. Everything here should be vetted through any other financial person that you might have. If you have a financial planner, if you have someone else, research it yourself. Take everything you're hearing in this video as a suggestion. So let's move on to the next slide and get into the nuts and bolts of what it is I do. So here you will see, um, this is a real life profit summary that I screen grabbed. Now, um, we're going to talk about your expense ratio. Now, think of your expense ratio. It's real easy. The reason why I don't do it reverse, the reason why I'm not telling you, hey, what's your expense ratio? And in that being, what is the percentage that is expenses, is because I reversed it. Because the way I want you to think of this number is this number. And in this case here, on this particular shift, my expense ratio was 68.74%. Think of that as this: for every $100 I'm going to make that day or made that day, I retained $68.74. My goal is to try to get this as close to $75 or above as I can. So you can see we were a little bit off on this. Now you're seeing there that you see where it's generated. I generated 153.83 in gross revenue that day, $25.65 in taxes, $13 in my car expense fund, $9.44 in actual gas cost, had a shift profit loss of 105.74 and an expense ratio of 68.74. That's also, I'm going to also give you a very simple formula that you can use to very quickly calculate these figures for yourself. Let's move on to slide number 6. And that talks about the expense ratio. So here I'm going to talk to you or show you the formula that I'm talking about. So you can use this as a number to forecast what you need to make in a given day. So if you walk out and you say, I want to make X amount of dollars net, and in this case, in my example, if you want to make $200 in a day, right? So you walk out and say, I want to not gross 200, but I want to make $200. I need 200 bucks to meet a goal. What you're going to do is you're going to take the goal, which is $200, and then you're going to divide it by 68.74. You're not going to move decimals. You're not going to do anything. You're going to divide it by 68.74. Okay. So you're going to take your goal and you're going to divide it by 68.74, and then you're going to times it by $100. And that's going to give you $290.95. So your goal with that expense ratio would be $290.95. That's what you would need to make. Now, here's the nice part. I'm giving you that formula in the event that you don't want to use my sheets. But if you're wanting to use my sheets for the day, whether you're using the earn by order sheets or the earn by time sheets, I recommend you get them both. The sheets themselves will automatically calculate your net, and it will automatically track your net. And when you see it reflect on what you need, that's going to be a net based goal. So that's really, really nice. It takes out all the figuring and it takes out really making this intimidating. But what I would recommend you do, and I'll go back on the slide, take the moment right now to note that, so that if you're trying to figure out what a goal is and you don't have access to the sheets, although I recommend you keep them on Google Sheets format because you can have that on either iPhone or Android. And if you happen to use both for some reason, then you could easily switch between the two. Or if you end up, one day switching to an Android from an iPhone, there you have it. You'll be able to very easily switch between the two and have access to those sheets. But here it is. Note that one more time. Your goal divided by 68, divided by the expense ratio as reflected. So in this case, it was 68.74. So you divide your goal by 68.74 and times it by 100, and that gets you your goal. And in this case, it was 290.95. So the expense ratio is a core piece to understanding your earnings. So you need to understand that. That's going to be a key driving factor that you want to make sure that you are in sync with, that you are aware of, and that you are working towards, and that you're keeping that at the forefront of your mind. So let's look at taxes. So I am not going to sit here and tell you how to calculate your taxes. I'm going to tell you that if you're using my sheets, there is a tax calculator in there. Now, it is all geared towards my state of West Virginia. So if you have another state, let me know what that tax amount is and I can adjust it, or you can go in and adjust it when you make a copy of the sheet and save it for yourself. But this does all the groundwork. Now, I would highly recommend, and I am telling you not to rely on this as any type of tax advice. This is simply an estimator, and you should vet it against the IRS's website, figure out the calculations on your own. And I really would recommend you use a third-party app like Solo App, Hurdler, Stride. And if you do that, you can compare what the app is showing you versus the summary here that I have. So use that, keep that in mind. I'm going to let you know that this is a little more aggressive. In other words, you're going to probably be putting more aside on here than you would on your actual calculations. And I do that because we're not giving the money anywhere. It's just going to go into a savings account if you have that work or business account, business savings account, and maybe you open up a money market or a savings account. So it's going to be sitting there earning interest for you. And for me, that's not a bad thing. I'll overpay if I'm paying myself in a way. I eventually will have to pay those tax bill, but it may be far less. And then there may be money that I get to retain and move around into my different accounts. So that's the taxes portion. But it's very important that you are setting aside each time you work, set aside the portion in the estimate for taxes. Now, actual gas cost, you're not going to be able to calculate this without keeping a gas log. I have developed a gas log, and it's a gas log that you can use, and I will send you. And all it involves is every time you fill up, simply log a few key pieces of information: the gas station, the cost of gas, the amount of gas that you filled up for, and the total payout, and then enter your odometer reading. Now, the first time you do it, you're going to start out entering your starting odometer reading. On that sheet, it's going to continue to transfer that to the next line down every single time to keep it easy with you, keep it easy on you. So, what you're going to be able to do with that is every time you arrive at the gas station, you're filling your miles on the from the previous, and then it will move it down. It will carry that over to the next line where you can fill in your fill up information, and it will keep track of your gas costs and exactly what your gas cost is per mile. That's the point of doing this. So you will then be able to take that number and put it on your driver or in your driving work log every single day. Now, if you're not going to use the work log and you just want to use the gas log, so you have somewhere to log your gas, you can do that. And in that way, you will know when you're making calculations and you're looking to set aside actual gas costs, you will be able to set aside an amount per mile that is costing you to drive your vehicle. If you do that, you will always have money to dash. I repeat, you will always have money to dash or deliver if you are setting aside your money per mile that you're driving on a given day. Um, this is one of the most important steps you can learn to do. And as I said, pay yourself. So next line, there's the car maintenance fund. So how do you calculate the car maintenance fund? Well, you're already calculating the full miles on your vehicle when you're doing your gas log because it's requiring you to calculate the full amount of miles that you're driving. And on your daily work logs, which you are then transposing onto a yearly log, you're calculating your work miles. So now you're having a manual record of your work miles, a manual record of your total miles, two things the IRS needs. And you also should be having a separate record being kept by a third-party app that's tracking your miles as well. So you now have two bases of comparison, which the IRS, from what I've read, does like. Verify that yourself, of course. But from my reading, they do like that. Now, when you're calculating your car expense fund, all you're going to do is throughout the year, anytime you have a car-related expense, new tires, oil change, whatever it might be, put it on your car expense log. As you're going throughout the year, you will then be able to, every time, what I would recommend is every single time you update your car expense log, meaning every time you have a car related expense, you should update your miles. When you update your miles, you should be paying attention to what your per mile maintenance cost is. I recommend keeping it at 10%, at 10 cents always, and every year raising it by 10%. And of course, in the event that as you're keeping track of this, that number starts rising above where you're at, then you can adjust it and rise above, with an idea being that that will become your new minimum until it goes higher. Now, my recommendation is that what you want to do is, again, on your driving work log, on your or daily work log, you will need to update that figure on that log, and it's right next to where you're going to put in the actual gas mileage. So you can put that in, and then the sheet, again, these are calculations that the sheet will automatically track for you. And all you will need to put in on that sheet is the restaurant, the offer, the amount, the order, the total payout of the order or offered payout of the order, offered miles. You're then put in the, eventually when you do get paid out, you're putting the payout information. Then you're putting the starting miles on the order and the ending miles on the order. And then you're also putting when you arrive at the restaurant, when you leave the restaurant, and what the app told you the estimated time was that you needed to get it delivered. And that's going to give you an entire range of information that if you're utilizing it and doing this right, you can really, really get some great information that can help you make a lot of money. But anyways, it starts with keeping that car maintenance fund as one of the core key premises of that. So accounting for these three expenses and paying yourself first, like we've just discussed here, is going to avoid you going out of business. You need to understand this concept and what you're seeing on this screen right now. I repeat, you need to understand that you you need to ensure that these three expenses are being paid first. If you don't do that, you are putting yourself at risk of going out of business, and you cannot afford to do that. So, as I've told you, download my sheets for free. They are available. Subscribe to the channel so you're aware of any updates to the sheets. And also, it will allow us to be able to interact and make sure you're aware of if I'm doing any lives. I am going to be starting to do lives at some point here where we're going to be able to network with each other who are using these sheets. And we will be able to sit down, talk, discuss numbers, see how things are going, and have a real worthwhile business discussion regarding the gig economy. And I think that will be very, very, very exciting. So, guys, look, download these sheets. I'm going to attach them inside this video um, in the description, and you know, download them. It may take me a minute to realize that the request has been made because it comes through my email, but don't worry, I will get to it, and I always keep an eye out for these requests, and I will go ahead and I will make sure that they get uh, approved and shared with you. So look, guys, these are the three most important things that are very, very important and very, very key to you understanding what you're actually making in the gig economy. I also have sheets that coincide with the work log, um, and the gas log and the car expense logs that will allow you to track your yearly progress and even helps you set goals for yourself, reasonable goals, attainable goals, which is all very, very important for you on your journey in the gig economy so you can set up your financial goals. It also helps you make an analysis of whether or not you should be earning by time or earning by order. In my opinion, these are all invaluable things that some people would probably charge a lot of money for. I'm making them available to you for free, no strings attached. I'm asking for you to subscribe, but I'm not requiring you to. And I'm asking you to simply interact. I'm not requiring you to. If I had a difference between the two, I'd say take the sheets if it's going to, because I really do believe they could help you out. If you have questions about those sheets, email me the questions or come back to this video and put them in the comment section. I'll try to answer them or answer them with a video. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you joining in. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope you found it informative. And if you did, please hit that like button for the sole purpose of sharing this video with others out there who may be able to find some value and benefit. On top of that, if you don't mind sharing the video, and if you also don't mind subscribing, if this is the first time to the channel, maybe it's not the first time, but maybe it's the time you decide to make that commitment, small commitment of simply subscribing to the channel and staying informed on anything that's going on with Dad Dash or any videos I'm putting out on the gig economy. So, guys, as always, stay safe, stay profitable, and Dad Dash will talk to you soon.